Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody, welcome to Heel Heat. This is our WWE show for the week. My name is George Coles and let's jump right into it. First off, we're going to go into the so-so portions. The portions that was either not good, not bad, just there. First one up is Triple H and Stephanie basically setting the parameters for the show, that there'll be a battle royal for one of the contenders to go into the Money in the Bank. Also, John Cena will fight Kane in a stretcher match for the other spot. Sets up the night. We get told what to do. Just a kind of one of those things. I'm tired. I don't like seeing the heel authority open the show over and over and over again. Which leads us right into the bad segments. First one, Heath Slater versus Rusev. Combine the segment with the Vicky getting thrown up on by Stephanie. I have said it before and I'll say it again. I don't understand the push of Rusev. Slater, in the beginning, sounded there was some. I thought they might do something a little bit with Slater before the match, the way he was going. He's a very good promo guy and a decent wrestler. I mean, now that he's only one MB, I guess we're going to see even less of him. Rusev obviously wins with a pretty much a basic squash match, per se. Which leads us into our next match that I found bad. And I hate to say it on this because most of the people involved I actually liked. And I think it was our guest commentator, guest host, Kevin Hart, that made me dislike this even more. He seemed out of touch with the product, didn't know what the Rosebud thing was, all that good stuff. But then by the end, he was playing into it, probably told on the headset that that's a good guy, you got to play with it. We had Layla and Fandango versus Adam Rose and Summer Rae. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but I think, like I said, Kevin Hart on commentary ruined the match for me, and Kevin Hart at the end partying with the Rosebuds just was bad. And I'm not a Kevin Hart hater. I think he's okay. Some of his stuff's funny, some of it's not. But I think he took away from this match, in my opinion. And the next one, I hate to say it, this is the first time I think one of these people's been on the bad section. Cameron versus Paige. And I think this is the first time we've ever had to put a Paige match here. And it's more so for the awkward and weird interactions that Cameron was doing. Naomi, on the outside, looked like she was pissed for some reason. Looked more legit, like at one point they wrestled past her and she just stood there like China used to. It was just weird, and the handshake kick thing, the faking her leg injury, and Paige fell for it both times. You want me to believe that this is the best women's wrestler in the world, but stupid crap that used to work back in the 60s works on her? Paige eventually does get the win. Just, I don't know, they didn't connect in my opinion at all. And the last but not least on things I absolutely didn't like on the show, Kane versus John Cena in the stretcher match. What a weak match. What a weak ending with the fireman's carry onto a stretcher. I'm not even going to say it was the attitude adjustment, because even the attitude adjustment looks more devastating than the crap that they had. We got John Cena's new 6th move, his stair toss in the match. We had involvement from Orton and Rollins, which brought out Ambrose. I don't know, I mean, Kane, usually a solid wrestler. John Cena, not bad, not horrible. This match just didn't connect and felt to me really cheesy. I don't know, I just didn't like anything about it, to be honest with you. I was happy when it was over because the abortion was done. Which gonna bring us into our, sorry folks, bring us into our question of the week from last week. Now, I think they kind of answered, and I'll get into that a little bit more here in a minute. They answered this question for me on Monday Night Raw. But the question was, would you like to see Shield add some more members, go on as a two-man group, or how would you like to see them go with that? Next up, before I get into my answer, we're going to take some from our friends. First is from our friend Dizzlepup. Hey George, I personally would like to see a new Shield member. Both Reigns and Ambrose are good enough to be successful on their own, much in the way that Nash and Hall were back in the day. Let them evolve, no pun intended, and explore their personas as singles competitors eventually before the Shield gets stale. I wouldn't like to see. I'm sorry, I said would. So he's against that. Next is from our friend at AUP116. Stay just as allies, not really a team, just having each other's back. And I kind of think that's where they went with it. It seemed a little bit weird, and I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to it, that Roman Reigns was totally gone and doing a different thing. Dean Ambrose had new music and came out in jeans and a black wife-beater t-shirt. Reigns kept the Shield music without the Shield part in the beginning. I think that they already kind of split them up. I was going to say, I would have kept them together as a team, and then eventually you could have had another heel turn down the road when they move on from the Rollins thing. So maybe 6 months down the road, Ambrose turns or Reigns turns or whatever. But that would have just been my opinion. Looks like I said, that they beat us to... The WWE answered the question for us. Now, next up, our question of the week for this week. Most of us either played or enjoyed video games in the last 30 years or so. What was your favorite professional wrestling video game? Was it the Pro Wrestling for NES? Was it No Mercy for Nintendo 64? ECW? One of the horrible games they made for PlayStation, Dreamcast, and all that? Or one of the newer versions like 2K14? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down there in the comments. And while you're at it, hit like. Now going on to the good section, the stuff I actually liked on the show. We had Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins in a pretty good match that was cut short by Dean Ambrose getting involved with Rollins, creating a DQ for Rollins to win. I think Rollins and Ziggler are great opponents for each other because they could both make each other look like $1 million and make it to where it's an interesting match that the fans want to see. I loved it. It left enough on the table that when they do the match again, it's going to be something I'm excited to see again. I thought it was a good matchup, which led right into our next match. Dean Ambrose versus Bad News Barrett, which seems to be the henchman of the corporation now, as they mentioned on commentary. Barrett picks up the win when Rollins comes to ringside, and Dean Ambrose gets counted out for being too involved with Rollins. Again, I like this too. I think the added muscle of Bad News Barrett into the Authority, you got Orton, Rollins, Barrett somewhat involved with them, or at least being the guy that Triple H sends out to do his dirty work. I like him being involved. I like what they did in the two matches back to back. Ambrose getting involved in Rollins' match, Rollins getting involved in Ambrose's match. Obviously, it's the feud they're going with, setting up the Shield. Ambrose cutting the promo was pretty awesome back. It harkened back to his days as John Moxley more so than any other promo he's cut on the WWE main roster has. Thought it was brilliant. I thought the whole thing was great. I loved the way they did. I loved how they're going forward with this. It's actually very enjoyable. Next up, we have Bray Wyatt versus Sheamus. I know at times it seems like I'm down on Sheamus, and it's not so much him. I think Sheamus is a good wrestler. The problem they seem to have with Sheamus is twofold. He's got the Cena, partially the Cena problem where he always wins and he Superman's up. But they stick Sheamus in feuds that never go nowhere, where he wrestles the same guy week after week after week after week, where you see him wrestle someone like Alberto Del Rio between pay-per-view and television 10 times in a 3-month period, you get sick and tired of seeing it, which you get sick and tired of Sheamus. But Sheamus is actually really decent in the ring. When he gets the right opponent, like a Bray Wyatt, like some of the guys that could take a harder, more physical style, he meshes well with them. I thought this was a fantastic match. I thought Sheamus picking up the win when the Wyatt family seen that he had the upper hand on him and attacked him, which brought out the Uso brothers to counteract. I thought it was good. I think it's going to set up a nice 6-man battle at some point. Sheamus taking the role that John Cena was formerly in, so John Cena can move on to other things. I like it. I think a Sheamus versus Bray Wyatt feud could be great. I mean, 2 physical wrestlers just going out there and beating the crap out of each other. What's not to like about that? Plus, you get to see matches with him and Harper and Rowan. I mean, I think this is actually going to be a solid feud for our friend Sheamus. Which brings us up to our next match, the Battle Royal for an entrance into the Money in the Bank. Now, we've seen some backstage politicking at the beginning of the show before Stephanie threw up and her and Hunter had to leave. It was said that Ambrose and Reigns should not be entered into the match. Reigns politicked with Vicky Guerrero, got in her head. After Vicky got puked on, he came to her. She finally acquiesced and screamed at him, "Fine, you're involved. You're in the match. Get out there." And they brought it. I thought it was a decent battle royal. I thought it was predictable that Reigns would win. I mean, that was kind of obvious once they did that whole part. I did have a second of doubt when at the end it was down to 3 people. It was down to Bo Dallas, Reigns, and just Rusev, I'm sorry. And they had a thing where Reigns was charging at Rusev and Bo Dallas was off to the side. I thought they might do a thing where Rusev and Reigns both take each other, knock each other out, and Bo Dallas gets in the ladder match. Alas, they didn't. Reigns picks it up. Solid battle royal. I mean, I'm personally a fan of the battle royal concept. I like to see who eliminates who. I like to see who gets in the final couple guys. Who's the workhorse of the battle royal doing the majority of the work. I just enjoyed it personally. I like battle royals. So what can I say? I think they're fun. And last but not least, it's fitting that it fell this way because it's just basically in order it was on the show, except we're split up in 3 categories. Rybaxel versus Goldust and Stardust. Cody Rhodes' new gimmick, which looks kind of like a big star on his face, like Starman from Pro Wrestling, the video game, which is what made me think of the question of the week. On a black star, gold paint, gold outfit. I absolutely loved it. I know a lot of people were upset because why are they doing this with Cody? Cody's a future main eventer. What you guys got to realize is that more than likely, within the next year, maybe 2 at most, Goldust is going to be gone off of the WWE roster. Now, he might retire, go out and do whatever Goldust does afterwards, or he might go back to the independents and cash on, making money doing that and signing autographs at the reunion shows and conventions and signing a Legends contract and coming back for the special Raws. However, Goldust doesn't have much time left as an in-ring competitor. I looked at it like this. Cody wanted to go out with his big brother Dustin and have fun. And it looked like they had a lot of fun. Cody wrestled more like Dustin during the match. He changed up his style. He used a move that Masato Tanaka made famous called the Diamond Dust as his finisher. Fits with the gimmick. It was awesome. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought it was fun. Being a person, I have 2 younger brothers myself. There's some things that, me and my brothers, we have common interests on, and some things we don't. Neither one of my brothers are as big a fan of wrestling as I am. My brother Frank, we both love stuff like Star Wars, comic books, and video games. So we connect on that, and we have a lot of fun when we find a video game we both like, or a new Star Wars movie comes out, or something to that effect. My brother Bob, we connect more watching sports. He likes to watch football and hockey and baseball and basketball, much like I do. I enjoy watching sports as well. So we connect watching that stuff. And I know the feeling I get when me and my brother Bob are watching a Philadelphia Eagles game together, and we're cheering for the same guys, and we're high-fiving, and we're just having a good time. Or me and my brother Frank are playing a video game together, either kicking each other's ass or kicking ass together. It's an awesome feeling getting to share that. And that's kind of what I felt with Gold Dust and Stardust. I thought it was awesome. Obviously, they pick up the win. I love it, guys. I don't know what you guys think. I hope I'm not in the minority. But now, going from that, we're going to go right into our ratings for the week. If you've seen the show before, or even if you haven't, you know we have a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. 1's a Great Khali, 2's a Santino Marella, 3's a Cody Rhodes, or Stardust, 4 is a Cesaro, 5 is Daniel Bryan. I'm going to give the show a 3 of Cody Rhodes, a.k.a. Stardust. A lot of stuff I actually liked, some stuff I didn't like at all. It was kind of a manic-depressive show. You had very high highs, very low lows. And it was all over the board. Kind of fitting that you find out later that the head writer was fired that week, because it kind of felt like there was no direction. But basically that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.